Have you ever met a child who was sold as a labor slave and forced to sleep in a cage at night so that they wouldn't run away? Or maybe a child who was constantly abused by one of their relatives. I'm pretty sure you have, but you probably looked away, not knowing their story. That's what I'm here to talk about today. Everyone has probably lived through a situation like this. You see someone begging, or worse, a young child approaches you with an empty plastic cup asking for change. How did you react? Raise your hand if you've ever looked away in a situation like this. Yeah, I have. I've looked away. One of the first times I came to Bali, when I was around the age of 8 or 10, I had something like this happen to me. It was on the corner of Hard Rock Hotel in Kuta. And there, between the sidewalk and wall, there was a young child with his mother sleeping. This wasn't the first time that I'd seen kids begging. And neither was it the first time that I'd seen this woman with her child. Yet, it stuck with me. I couldn't quite unsee it. And in that moment, I didn't know what to do. I felt hopeless. Like every other tourist, I'd gotten the info that mafias trafficked these kids, and that giving them money was only supporting the mafias and causing more kids to be forced into begging. And although we shouldn't be giving money to these kids, the situation isn't as black as white as this. Under Indonesian law, begging is criminalized, and whoever is caught doing so is subject to 6 weeks in prison or up to 3 months if caught begging in a group of 3 or more over the age of 16. That's a very harsh prison sentence. It makes sense that you aren't supposed to support this. The question starts growing if these kids are actually being injured and forced by mafias. And to be honest, I simply don't know. There might be kids out there that are being forced by mafias to go out and beg at night. In my experience, however, the story tends to be a little different. Indonesia doesn't have an effective social welfare system. As of 2022, nearly 10% of the population lives below the poverty line. That means there's 26 million people here in Indonesia living off of around $1 a day. That's $1 for food, water, shelter, medicine, everything. 26 million people, the population of Australia, living here in Indonesia off of this much money. In some cases, parents are unable to work, or one of the parents has died. Because of this, their children have to take over the roles of being the money makers in the family. Some spend their nights waiting next to stoplights to ask for money whenever they turn red, while others scout trash dumps to pick out anything valuable they might find. And although this is horrible, it's only the tip of the iceberg. I could stand up here for another 15 minutes telling you stories about kids being raped, held in cages, sold, exploited by their parents, and the list goes on. The reason why I'm telling you this is to show you what some parents will do to their children and to explain why we shouldn't be giving money to these children. The problem with giving money to these children is that it supports their begging. If you give them $1, they're already making as much as poverty line. And oftentimes, these kids will end their nights on $10 to $20. One night, I met 2 boys. They were keen on joining my project, and they could have, but their mothers wouldn't let them. And even though I stood here in front of this community to get money for them so that they could go to school, laugh, play games, surf, have somewhat of a regular childhood, their mother said that they could be making more money by going to Sunset Road every night to beg. So what should we do? Instead of giving money directly to the kids, we should support organizations like Bali Street Moms that work with the families on creating better futures for the families and the children. Futures in which they can go to school and live a regular childhood. But why am I telling you all of this? Well, first of all, to tell you why we shouldn't be giving money directly to the kids, but also to open your eyes to the stories behind the kids' faces. They're very real, and they make up most of the backgrounds of the kids that I work with. But let me take you guys back to that story from earlier. After seeing this woman with her child sleeping on the hard stone ground, we wanted to do at least something. Money was an option for us because of the whole mafia thing. So we went back to the hotel, and my mom made a little care package consisting of stuff like toothbrushes, toothpaste, snacks, water, you get it. And I know that this was nothing big, and that it didn't change their lives. But you know what? It did something. And I'd like to imagine that when they woke up the next morning, they felt seen, not overlooked as they're used to. My mom taught me one very important thing in that situation. Don't look away. No one's expecting you to save the world. But whether or not anyone's expecting us to save the world, we should still give it a try. If not us, then who? I decided to stop looking away and to take action by combining two things that are very meaningful to me. Street kids, like the ones I'd seen all those years ago, and surfing. And I know, surfing really doesn't seem like the way to go about this massive social issue here in Indonesia, but hear me out. There's one very important thing about the ocean. It's infinitely powerful. Without the ocean, there'd be no life on this planet. And like any other planet in our solar system, we'd be a big dry rock. But to be honest, in my opinion, that's not the most powerful thing about the ocean. To me, the most powerful thing about the ocean is that we're all the same in it. It doesn't matter where you're from, how much money you have, what's happened in the past. All of that is insignificant all of a sudden. Well, and also, it's just a great way to clear your mind, and it gives you an outlet. It has a therapeutic effect, and I've felt it many times. But I'm sure that there's going to be some of you here that don't believe me with that. So for those of you, I've brought a study from the University of Freiburg. I'm going to read it to you. Surf therapy uses the positive effects of surfing on physical and mental health. The physical activity of surfing can help relax the body and reduce stress. At the same time, experiencing a sense of achievement and developing new skills can boost self-confidence and improve self-esteem. Because of these deeply meaningful moments I had the luck to experience here in Indonesia, if it's from seeing street kids begging over and over again to just the great time surfing, I knew what I wanted to do and got to work on making it happen. I founded Surf Shelter, a project for traumatized children rescued from begging in the streets, to rebuild self-confidence and to give a different perspective on life through surfing. Throughout the summer break, I started going to visit the kids in the safe house, and together we started going on our first trips to the beach. But plunging around in relatively shallow water is not what Surf Shelter was supposed to be about, so I had to focus and grow the project. Fundraising started the second I walked back through the gates of Greenstone. Spontaneously, I decided to present my project to the community, and it went great. Around 400 people decided to listen and to stop looking away. At the same time, I started my online fundraising campaign on the Instagram account I had previously established, which as of now has almost 250,000 impressions. Money started coming in. Money that I needed because I didn't have a student grant, and neither did I have any sponsors. But it went well. By the end of the first week, I was looking at nearly $1,000 raised, and I was sure that this wasn't going to be the last money I would see. The first surf lesson went great. Well, at least that's what I thought. The school board disagreed. But hey, it only took a month of legal meetings, risk assessments, discussions, and safeguarding training to get Surf Shelter running again. But yeah, passion is passion, am I right? I'm not going to give up that easily. But I would be lying if I told you guys that there wasn't points throughout this project where I just wanted to quit. Looking back, I'm glad I didn't. Because if I would have quit, I would have missed out on some truly fantastic moments. Surf Shelter has been running great. Up until today, we've had dozens of lessons and the kids have learned how to swim and surf. And from what I've been seeing, they're loving it. And even though it's hard for some kids because of medical conditions, you can tell how resilient they are. They have the motivation and the talent to become amazing surfers. It has also really changed the attitudes of some children. Kids that were frustrated, claustrophobic, and unable to release their energy found an outlet through surfing. And at this point, I should really thank a few people. Without them, this project wouldn't have been possible on the scale that it was. So thank you to Bali Street Moms, Odyssey Surf School, Hotel Indigo, and last but not least, all of you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to see these amazing kids build their futures and for letting me see the smiles on their faces almost every week. To be honest, I have to admit that most of these kids are way more talented at surfing than I ever was. And that the only thing they need now is just to keep going and to progress their surfing. And I'm glad to be able to stand up here today and tell you that they will get the chance to do this. This project isn't over. I'll stay in Bali and I will continue working on Surf Shelter and grow it into a movement and try to make it self-sustainable. But for that, I need your help. It costs money. I still have the costs of paying for their surf trips, the trips to and from the beach, and the food. So please, do the kids a favor and scan this QR code. Your money goes a long way. For $1, you can pay for a meal, and for 10, you can pay for a lesson. So please help me make pictures like these come true more often. That's the same girl, not too long apart. And that's what Surf Shelter is really about. Before and after pictures and smiles. So please, scan the QR code. At the end of the day, what matters is that you did something. Every student you will see over the next few days did something. And it really doesn't matter how big or small it is, because at the end of the day, if everyone in this room, or maybe everyone watching this, or everyone in the world even, did something to make a change, we could do anything. So if there's only one thing you take away from all of this, please let it be these 3 words. Stop looking away. Thank you.